What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Motorfest, and in today's video I do want to go over the best way to level up the Powerboats. Now I would almost guess it's probably going to be in like the top 3 for like the most annoying ones to actually max out, and that's most likely going to come down to the fact that there is not that many events you can do, so you're basically faced to do many of the events that are in that said playlist. But for this though, I do want to go over the current sets I actually managed to get when grinding out the Powerboat. So the first one is indeed going to be a full chemist set, currently running extra pump and pure, but I might end up testing this out more in the future to maybe see if there is going to be better fix-it stats for it. And then of course I also managed to get a loot digger set for it as well, but I am also going to be doing a video on the loot digger set here in the future. I really do feel like this set is definitely not working as it should be. Like, going after many of these part sets, guys, you're most likely going to be aiming for a loot digger, but here on Motorfest, I do feel like the set is most likely not working as intended. And then, of course, the other set I finally got is going to be a score breaker. And the main reason why I wanted this, though, is there is going to be a few skills in the water, so I would almost guess that we will most likely see something in the future in one of the summits. Now, as I did mention before, the most annoying part about leveling the powerboats up is probably going to be the fact that there is not that many events you can actually do to really max them out. So yeah, you could do some of the skills in the water here, even like a buoy smashing in this area, but how many people actually want to farm the skills the entire time when you can actually go do different events to really max them out? So in this, guys, there is not going to be a lot of boat events in this game compared to like the Crew 2, which most likely is going to come down to this map being a bit smaller. And of course, they are most likely going to add different events in the future. And who knows, maybe even like an expansion to this map as well. But as I did mention before, guys, the biggest thing here is you will most likely want to head over to the playlist. That is going to be primarily based on the boats and the planes here. So it is going to be the ocean and sky. Now, there is going to be a few events in here that you can grind out, but do not get me wrong, guys, I would definitely recommend not doing all of these. The reason for that, though, is going to come down to a few things. So for number one, some of these events, for example, the Deep Sport, is going to be around 4 minutes or so with a maxed out vehicle. Like, you could be a bit quicker. Obviously, I'm running a Proto WR1 at level 610, and doing this around 3 minutes and like 35 to maybe 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So I would say it's still going to be around 4 minutes to actually get that done. Also, guys, on max level 5 difficulty, you also have to deal with the AI. And this is, of course, going to come down to the fact that much of the races in the game obviously have AI in them. And, of course, many of the AI can make that race pretty much unbearable at times. But my two favorite events, guys, that I basically grinded out the entire time to get the boats maxed out. The first one's going to be located here, which is going to be the Rocket Start. Funnily enough, by the way, this is also going to be the fastest event out of most of them that you can do. I did notice, guys, even with a maxed out boat on this, you can get this done in around 2 minutes and 30-ish seconds, which I would say is going to be pretty decent overall, but do keep in mind, though, even though the Rocket Star is going to be a shorter event, that is, of course, going to equal less parts from that event dropping, so doing shorter events is indeed going to be a great way to get more parts over time, because obviously the event is shorter. That way you're most likely going to get more parts. For example, if you do the Rocket Start, you are most likely going to get maybe like 3 to 5 parts or so. And then if you actually do like one of the longer races, which normally are 3.5 to 4 plus minutes, you are most likely going to get like maybe 5 to like 8 parts. So in time, you will most likely get more parts by doing the Rocket Start over time. But the other event that's going to be the best way to max out the powerboats is going to be insanely close by to the Turtle Bay Resort. And I have to admit something, by the way, I definitely grinded this event more than the other one. The Yacht Surfing for me is easily going to be like my number one race I would definitely recommend for maxing out the power boats. I do understand, though, doing like one event over and over can definitely cause some fatigue, so I would recommend mixing it up by doing like the Rocket Start. Even some of the other events in this said playlist might help with that, but I really have to admit, guys, when grinding out the powerboats, I basically did this event a lot. I would even go as far as saying around 85 to 90% of the time I was grinding out the powerboats was easily on the yacht surfing event. And that's probably going to come down to me having better luck on this one besides the other one, which I really do not know why that actually is. It could just be in my mind, but like, I definitely had better RNG with getting gold parts on the yacht surfing compared to the Rocket Start, so who knows, maybe that might actually be a thing where different events have better luck in them. I would definitely have to be testing out more events to really see if that is a thing, but if you guys are looking for a solid race, I would definitely recommend the Yacht Surfing. And then of course go back to the rocket start to basically mix up like the overall grind, but there is going to be a few things I did want to go over in the Yacht Surfing event. So for one, this is of course going to have AI in them, and on level 5 guys, the AI are honestly insanely annoying. Like, I did notice in some of the events they do tend to be worse than others, but in this one they can definitely be pretty dang frustrating regardless of the boat you actually use. They do tend to pretty much run into you every single time they actually get in this event, and I did notice in every other boat race it's the same thing, so it's not going to be insanely shocking in the Yacht Surfing, but do keep an eye out for the AI guys. They definitely do not care whatsoever, and they basically run into you every single chance they actually get to pretty much ruin the entire run. Now, one thing I did notice though, running a maxed out boat in this event, even if they mess you up, besides all that though, I have to admit maxing out the powerboats probably wasn't the best experience I have had so far on Motorfest, but at the same time I really have to recommend to max them out. And the reason for that is at least when they do show up in a summit, because I almost guarantee they will, you can easily catch back up to the AI and at least get in the top 3, that way you actually get parts. Also, a really big tip on this one, make sure you keep the left analog stick down, that way you actually keep your speed up when going over the waves. At least you might be ready for any of the events that might show up in the future, especially if they end up adding a car into one of them. We really did see this pretty dang often back on the crew too, but also make sure you guys do actually grind one of these score breaker sets as well. We have seen some of the skills being in the water like these slaloms, and I would almost guarantee those are definitely going to show up in a summit in time, so being ready is definitely going to be worth it, even though maxing out these power boats is probably not going to be the funnest thing out there.